Greetings, Earthlings! This is Galactic-Thread, and it's time for another video. Before we get into it, I must thank you for the support on the last video. For those who have been with me since the beginning and after that video, thank you. And I hope we can continue this journey together with new members. To keep this channel growing, make sure to prune that unclicked thumbs up button from the timeline. And if you want to find that glorious purpose of yours in the future videos of mine, make sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified of my future releases. So, if you've read the title of this video, you know already that this is my personal evaluation and analysis of a certain Marvel Disney Plus series. I decided to split this video in two, so once you finish this video on why I love said show, please check out the sequel to this video about why the writing of this show is pure genius. I will also have a structured video process moving forward, but this is my last semi-structured video series. I have yet to upload a music video for my Mifa video, by the way, check that out if you're a Zelda fan, and I have yet to make a short video for it. And I will release a music video for this one in due time with a short as well, but for now, my video process is as follows. So, moving forward, my video release process will have three facets. I will start by releasing a music video, which will tease the upcoming large, big topic video. Then, I will release that video. But not everything can get into that video. Things get cut. So, I will release a short to touch upon something that didn't make it into the video. Now, getting into this big video that I mentioned. This video is about Loki. So, if you don't know already, Loki is a critically acclaimed 2021 release on Disney+. It is a TV show relevant as of now to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU, and it centers around a villain turned anti-hero in an unfamiliar world much bigger than himself. Why did I pick Loki for today's focus? Well, so I could give you all my take, my evaluation, and my analysis on this masterfully made series. And to let you know that I loved it. In fact, this show had quite a personal impact on me through its messages on humility, destiny, and unfamiliarity. Take the first episode. Loki is thrust into an unfamiliar situation, and we get to watch him struggle and adapt to a new situation. It's uncomfortable, it's scary, and, as someone who's going to college, I quite relate to that. So, Loki. It was released along two other shows in early 2021, which were WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, with What If coming out just a month later. Though the other two shows were both critically acclaimed and quite loved by fans, Loki stood apart. Loki's fame came from many a factor, but three that I think set it apart were its world building, characters, and story. For example, its world building was one that expanded with every episode, new questions being asked, new territories discovered. In the first episode, we get to see the TVA. Second episode, we get to see some of these apocalypses. Then we get to see Lamentis in the third episode. In the fourth episode, we see more TVA in the Timekeeper's Chambers. Fifth episode, we get to see the Void. In the sixth episode, Beyond Time, the lair of He Who Remains. Also, the characters, constantly changing sides in relation to the protagonist and including said protagonist, always shift from good to bad or morally gray, an anti-hero. We start with Loki, the villain, this charming, cunning person, instantly thrust into an environment that so claims itself to be the divine arbiters of truth, so he says. Then, Loki joins said divine arbiters of truth, aligning himself with what he thinks is good. He and Mobius work side by side to crack the case of the new evil, a variant of Loki who is more powerful. Loki is then introduced to said variant, and he then sees the TVA is evil. After all, who would capture someone from the timeline and trap them in a lifestyle of cubicles and policing? Then, that again gets switched when the timekeepers are revealed to be fake. Then, who is to blame? Loki is pruned by Ravonna, who is currently the one who has shifted from good to evil and stayed that way. Then, again and again, sides are switched, new characters are introduced, and this is actually joked upon slightly with the Lokis and the variants within the Void, constantly switching sides and turning on each other. It is their nature, and it makes sense. I mean, Loki is someone who flip-flops quite often, depending on what's most favorable, and up until the end, it is still challenged. Whose side is he truly on? And that very nature of the Loki planted seeds of distrust between him and Sylvie, which proved to be their downfall. Now, assuming you all have seen Loki, we can go over the cast, which includes Loki, Sylvie, other Loki variants, Mobius, the Hunter B-15, Ravonna Renslayer, the Judge, Miss Minutes, and He Who Remains are just some of the critical and amazing characters in this show. The thing about these characters that sets them apart from others within other Marvel Cinematic Universe installments is how they are developed. And this is something that I personally wanted to touch upon because I was truly blown away by this. You see, in Loki, most character development is not done through punches and kicks like in the most Marvel products. I mean, look at shows like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All of the important learning experiences comes from fighting, time off screen, losses, victory. All of it is very generic, very superhero film-esque. Loki, on the other hand, gets away with not having to deal with all of those generic tropes, breaking convention with new ways to develop character, with discussion. Not a single punch is thrown in the first episode, if you don't count the punch from Hulk when he yells, "No stairs!" In stark contrast, look at the first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Many, many punches were thrown between Sam, Bucky, and the Flag Smashers. Don't make me count how many there were. There were a lot. Also, WandaVision was more of a slow burn, resulting in your average, normal superhero fight between two superpowered people. It wasn't a bad show. Honestly, I quite enjoyed it. Let me know if you want to hear another Galactic-Sized evaluation of that show. But I digress. WandaVision was a show that also did a lot of development through talking, but let's focus on Loki and how this show truly dived into the idea of words and the power of them. In the first and last episodes, the culmination of the entire show and its origin, we have just 2 or 3 characters sitting at a table and simply talking. The thing that makes these conversations so engaging, spanning entire episodes, more engaging than a mindless fight, is the stakes. When Loki and Mobius are discussing Loki as an individual and whether he is redeemable, if he wants to hurt people or not, the stakes are simple. If Loki proves to be unchangeable, he dies. If he proves to be of use, he becomes an asset to the TVA, and gets to live, of course. In the final episode, Loki and Sylvie are sitting with He Who Remains in the end of all time, and are discussing the fate of the universe. I mean, what higher stakes can you get? They are given a bargain by He Who Remains, a catch-22 of sorts, and this discussion spent the entire episode weighing the consequences of what they're going to do next. I mean, the first consequence would be unleashing an evil upon the galaxy and the multiverse never before seen and unprecedented. And y'all know I'm talking about Kang the Conqueror. The second would be that Loki and Sylvie fill the power vacuum of He Who Remains and maintain order at the expense of freedom. Now, I mean, these are high stakes. On one hand, you have freedom to do what you want. You have free will. You have a glorious purpose. You can do whatever you want. And on the other hand, we have order, but within that order, it's protection. These high stakes truly make Loki an inspiring show. It takes elements such as time, the multiverse, and makes them feel huge. This hugeness is what sets Loki apart. WandaVision was confined to a literal small city. On the other hand, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was confined to the fight between the Flag Smashers and the protagonist duo. Honestly, it was not that big of a universe. Sure, you traveled the world, you went to Sokovia and all that, but if you think about it, there isn't much depth to it. What sets Loki apart is that every episode we see a new location, a new planet, we meet new people, and they continue to let us ask more questions. I mean, if you look at other commentators, for example, we have New Rock Stars, we have Screen Crush, Screen Rant. They are always raving after every episode, asking, what next? What do we have now? Mephisto? Y'all know what I mean, if you've seen other commentators. In a nutshell, I say this part of Loki's story is what makes it such an engaging show. It's the stakes, it's the conversations. This is what makes the show so unique. And, well, let's go to the plot points. We have the messages of humility, free will, and the desire to change. These apply to all characters. We have Loki, who is learning to be humble, who wants to understand the nature of free will, and he has the desire to change. Mobius is humble. He always listens to what others have to say. He's a listener. His job is to listen to what Loki has to say and probably see if there's some merit to it. And that awareness, that willingness to listen is what allows him to notice the cracks within the TVA and flip to the side of justice or free will. And then that, of course, gets thrown about the place. I mean, the same process goes to Sylvie with humility, free will, desire to change. She, on the other hand, does not develop much humility. She doesn't get over herself. She doesn't get over her free will. She wants to stick with her plan. She does not have a desire to change. She feels that she's been shortchanged by the TVA, and she, like the characters, has her own goals, and she does not change. She does not develop. She does not become humble. That is what sets this show apart. These messages, followed or not, really hit home with this show. And, well, that's that. So, you have made it to the end of the video. If you liked it, please be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click that bell to be notified of my future releases. Also, be sure to check out the next video where I analyze the genius writing of Loki. And please, check out some of my other content when it appears and that which already exists, like my video on The Legend of Zelda, where I specifically talk about a theory of mine. If you're not interested, hey, it's not for everybody. I have some things planned that I'm pretty sure someone will like. Anyway, thanks again for watching this video. This is Galactic Threat signing off. I hope to see you again in the sequel. Have a nice day.